Well, Diamond Doll, she of course has to look at the crowd first. Should I give him a 10? Then she reaches under the ring, holds up a card. I'll give him a 0!
I was thinking, man, could you imagine that, like, happening today? And then you would have all the Melties and, oh, we got backstage information on this, and Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp in his fat face talking about, oh, we got backstage news on what happened during this, but you gotta pay us $5 to get the information. He literally came back from the dead. And
then the entire Dungeon of Doom come out and start getting in the ring. Then Hulk Hogan fights off entire Dungeon of Doom. I don't know how many people were there, but there was a lot. So we are reviewing Superbrawl 6, brought to us by WCW. The main event of the evening is Hulk Hogan having an unsanctioned cage match versus the Big Show, or the Giant, or Paul White, whatever iteration you remember him as. Our co-main event is Ric Flair versus the Macho Man Randy Savage for the World Heavyweight title. Of course, that's the co-main event, not the actual main event, because Hogan.
Yeah, you can't have the champion go on last.
No, of course not. It's crazy. Giant and Hogan are continuing their rivalry, their blood feud. So Tony Schiavone, Bobby Heenan, and Dusty Rhodes are kicking us off. Not a whole lot of chatter at the beginning, so I don't know if they are tired or they've been told to tone it down. They just kind of
got to get right into the action.
Exactly, just get into it. And the first match of the night is Public Enemy versus Nasty Boys in a street fight. And it's a big deal to Tony that the Nasty Boys are wearing tennis shoes, because that means they're ready for a fight.
Well, for me, we're in 96 now, and you can start to see the attitude of the 90s come through, seeing as Public Enemy is wearing shirts with 69 and they got the dreadlock braid thing going on. Like, here's the Limp Bizkit era. I saw some kid with a No Fear shirt on. Remember No Fear?
Yeah,
I saw some Jinkos.
Well, this was just like any other Nasty Boys Public Enemy match. Too much furniture. Like Rock grabbed a table 2 seconds into it. All they did was fight on the outside. The ring was basically just a set piece. Dusty did ask Schiavone if he's seen any Australian arm drags. And of course, Schiavone said no. Rock tries for the second time to put one of the Nasty Boys through a table. And for the second time, Rock plunges through the table like a dumbass. And Nasty Boys win. Then they continue to fight. Then they just kind of stop and walk away.
It was funny, the finish of the match. So the dude flies through the table. And then the Nasty Boy, I think it was Knox, guy smashes through the table. He takes part of the table and then just like jumps on him with. I don't know. I just thought it was funny.
It was just really awkward, I felt. I don't like any of these teams. They're both the same to me.
They are pretty similar. Yeah. But all I can take away was, oh, look at all these unprotected headshots.
Yeah, there was that. So Mean Gene pimps the WCW hotline. He says the 2 former WWF champions could be coming over to WCW. And there's letters, and they're blurred out. And to me, it kind of looks like Triple H. Obviously, it wasn't Triple H.
I don't know, but it seems like that hotline was the internet before the internet.
Right.
Like they were their own dirt sheet.
So then Gene introduces us to Conan. And then Conan says he's not letting his fans down, and then he's going to beat the one-man gang.
All the time looking at something, which I assume was a teleprompter.
Probably.
I never did look at the screen. Because, Conan now has his little podcast thing. I thought about trying to get on the show and asking him, so what exactly were you looking at during your first promo?
He takes questions.
You think I should ask?
Yeah.
See if they'll answer it.
Yeah.
What the hell were you looking at in your first promo?
He might give you a smart ass answer, but
how were you not looking at the camera during your first promo?
So anyway, Johnny B. Bad with the Diamond Doll face Diamond Dallas Page, continuing their blood feud.
Their fight forever.
Yeah. And we find out this is for the US TV title, Diamond Doll's valet services, and $6.6 million of bingo money that DDP stole from Diamond Doll.
Yes.
DDP comes out with a bouquet of roses, and Diamond Doll rejects them like the ungrateful whore that she is. And then DDP, like an idiot, is more concerned with getting the Diamond Doll to give him a 10 rather than win the match. At one point, come on, baby, give me a 10. Give me a 10. Give me a 10, you fucking whore.
Yes, and I believe that was after the tornado DDT that he hit or something like that, tilt-a-whirl DDT.
Yeah.
And she gave him a 0, that whore.
Well, Diamond Doll, she of course has to look at the crowd first. Should I give him a 10? Then she reaches under the ring, holds up a card. I'll give him a 0! And then Johnny B. Bad wins with the tombstone. To me, this wasn't really any different than their other 100 matches.
Yeah. When we complain about rematches now, well, here you go.
And Bad gives Doll her bingo check. She says she'll be putting it to better use than DDP would have.
That Diamond Doll, man, she's really like too far out there. Always looking at the crowd, and she came out doing cartwheels and shit.
Like she did the last pay-per-view.
Yeah. You should just go do OnlyFans or something.
No, her 90s self needs to do OnlyFans today. Mean Gene, he gets down with Harlem Heat. Stevie Ray says Luger committed grand larceny, and Sting is just like him. They're coming back for their belts. And then Booker T calls both of them suckers. Suckers! And then they refuse to leave without their belts.
But that wasn't the only thing he called them. He said those two sissified, glitter-wearing suckers. And then he said something about them being college boys, whatever that even means.
Yeah, that means that they do butt stuff. So Gene says if Harlem Heat wins, they have to face the Road Warriors. Booker says Road Warriors are the past, Harlem Heat is the present, essentially. And I'm excited to see Harlem Heat. We got Harlem Heat versus Lex Luger and Sting. Harlem Heat beats the piss out of Luger for most of the match.
Boy, did they.
I liked how they carried themselves. They kind of walked around like alpha athletes. Like if you've ever been around in like a locker room, you kind of see the top guys, the guys that the coaches love, or the starters. They walk around differently than
the non-starters.
Yeah. And
both
of them
better get their ass out the way.
Yeah, and they both walk around like fucking predators. That's what I wanted the Street Profits to be like. I don't want them to be goofy. Now, I like their shit-talking antics, so I'll allow it, but I would rather them be like this.
Yeah.
So Booker did a spinner Rooney.
And a scissor kick.
Which was one of my favorite moves.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, well, turns out those two things are going to be like your staples.
Yep. I liked when he did the Harlem Hangover.
Yeah, I like that move. That was one of my favorite moves, actually.
Mm-hmm. So Stevie picks Luger up for a move, and then Animal from the Road Warriors comes in and hits Stevie with a piece of lead. When Luger flops on Stevie Ray, and the ref counts the pin. And clearly, the Road Warriors want to face Sting and Luger for the titles. Then Gene interviews Sting and Luger after the match. Luger says he was there for Sting and was there for the win, and he plays up that it was all because of him. Then Gene asks Sting if he saw what happened, and Sting's like, what happened? We're the world champions, yeah! So I don't think he did see what happened.
Yeah, so Sting is still protected as a babyface because he didn't see the interference.
Right. So One Man Gang faces Conan, and I had no idea what Conan was wearing when he came out to the ring. He kind of looked like a mix between a superhero and a gladiator.
I kind of got like an Aztec warrior vibe.
Okay, yeah, that was probably what it was supposed to be. I liked him with his little pork pie hat and the single button shirt. Viva la raza.
We'll get there. He was definitely in good shape, though. When he debuted.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I like Conan. The little tequila sunrise.
Yeah.
Little somersault clothesline.
Yeah,
none of which he did
good
in this match.
Well, he's not there yet.
No. So the bell rings and One Man Gang attacks Conan from behind. Conan dropkicks Gang into the ropes, and he does the Andre rope hang thing, just not as good. Then Conan crossbodies him, so they both fall outside the ring very, very slowly. And it's all One Man Gang for most of the match until Conan fires up with a few little forehead punches. And then Conan shoots in the ropes and hits a dropkick. Then he hits 2 more dropkicks, and he goes for another one, and I don't know what happened. They said One Man Gang sidestepped him, but he stood right the fuck still. Conan just kicked up. So to me, with my untrained eye, it looked like Conan fucked up.
Yeah, that was his debut.
Yeah. So One Man Gang, he tries to go for a really, really ugly splash from the middle rope, but he misses. And then Conan hits a somersault thing from the top rope for the win. And
And
that
Conan beats the one man gang and retains his title.
he does beat the One Man Gang. He does retain his title, and that is our introduction to Conan on the show.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm a fan of Conan, just not a fan of early Conan.
I'll be honest, I don't even remember early Conan. Might as well be my first time seeing him, other than, you know, that Conan.
Right.
But I
Mean
will
Gene,
say it's a good thing he did turn into that Conan, or his career would not have gone very well. Or maybe it would have, I don't know.
yeah, I think he was talented enough to he could probably do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
So Mean Gene talks to the Road Warriors, and he brings up the pipe. They almost said Luger did it to them first, and they apologized to Harlem Heat, but they had to do what they had to do to get Sting and Luger back in the ring. Hawk also apologizes to Harlem Heat. Not.
Hello, 90s.
But he did say he was going to do nasty things to Sting and Luger. Then he obscenely sticks out his tongue. So there's that.
There's that.
Then we get the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan, versus Flyin Brian Pillman.
And what proceeds to be the weirdest, I don't know, the weirdest 10 minutes in WCW history. But I believe that won't be the last time we say that.
True. Well, this is a strap/I quit match. Pillman runs straight to the ring with the strap, and he proceeds to strap the shit out of Sullivan. Sullivan just grabs Pillman's ankles. Then Sullivan socks Pillman once. Pillman runs to the microphone, and he says he respects him. Booker, man. Then Pillman rolls out of the ring and leaves to a volley of boos. Thoughts?
I don't know what the hell I watched. Yeah, so the stipulation of the match was it was a strap match, but the only way to win is to get your opponent to say I respect you.
Yeah.
I don't know what I watched. Pillman, he ran out there, he attacked Sullivan, and then before the match actually starts, he just says, I respect you, and then leaves. Like, what in the hell? It's like, I guess he's being the loose cannon. But then after, what happens next, I was like, maybe he wasn't being well, he was being a loose cannon, definitely, but maybe that wasn't as planned as what it should have been.
Well, I did a little research. And I do mean a little. I listened to Eric Bischoff, his podcast. It was planned. Basically, Pillman's contract was coming up, and they were working out to him transitioning to WWE. So Pillman came up with the loose cannon character. So they were working the backstage. Pillman would have outbursts during meetings and stuff, and then Bischoff and Pillman would get into it, like in the backstage, like make it seem like they were arguing and shit. So this is his last WCW match, and the idea was he's the loose cannon. So just in the middle of the match, he's supposed to break kayfabe and acknowledge that Sullivan's the booker and make it seem like Sullivan's the reason why he's leaving. That was the idea. How it came across was very confusing. That's a lot of inside baseball you'd have to know.
Yeah. I was thinking, man, could you imagine that, like, happening today? And then you'd have all the Meltzies and, we got backstage information on this. And
well, Meltzer was around back then.
The Fightful. Meltzer was around back then.
Yeah.
Golly, how long has he been doing this?
Oh, geez. Forever?
Well, there you go. Well, what about Fightful?
I don't know about Fightful. I don't care about them.
Oh, yeah, Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp in his fat face talking about, we got backstage news on what happened during this, but you got to pay us $5 to get the information, But
1982 is when the Wrestling Observer was founded.
Golly, that guy's old. I've never even seen him, so I don't know.
You never seen Dave Meltzer?
No. I only make fun of his star stuff, so I don't care what he looks like.
Oh, he looks like a Meltzer.
Wait, is he the one with the haircut? And he's like got white hair, but he has like the haircut?
No, I think you're thinking of Bill Apter.
I don't know. He thinks he's cool, but he's got all that white hair. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of Bill Apter. Where he's a little too familiar with wrestlers. So yeah, Pillman was transitioning to WWE. He was doing the loose cannon thing. Supposed to see him break kayfabe here, and then he goes to WWE. Oh, he could do anything.
That's sure and all, but why are you helping WWE? Like, why are you
He
setting this
wasn't helping
character up to go over
WWE. He was
there?
helping Pillman. WWE just benefited was collateral damage. He
Okay.
had a good relationship with Pillman. That's all it was.
So you're trying to help him out by
Yeah.
setting up his character for the next place he's going to
Yeah.
work.
And then apparently he and Pillman still kept in contact. Now, this is from Bischoff. He says that they continued to talk. They kept like the door open. So if things didn't work out for WWE, he could come back.
If it was planned, then at least there's that. Because it didn't seem like it was planned. So I give him that credit.
It seemed like it was.
Did it?
Yeah.
How?
They had the confusion, but it just seemed like forced, phony confusion, especially after being strapped. If Pillman tried to do something like that, Sullivan would maybe chase him down, legit. Arn Anderson came out. I don't think that they would have a match after that. I think Sullivan would be like, no, fuck that.
Well, I thought they were trying to...
At the very least, he'd go to the backstage and smack the shit out of Pillman, or try to.
Well, I thought this was supposed to... Okay, we got this 10-minute segment, so, or, whatever, 15-minute, 10-minute segment. Brian Pillman just came out here for 40 seconds. So now, what are we going to do for the rest of the time? And then Sullivan is, like, looking around. Like, he stayed in the ring. He's looking around, like, trying to put the strap on. It's like,
and he
your
didn't look
opponent left.
confused at all.
Well, he kept trying to put the strap on. It's like, you don't even have an opponent. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
And then out comes Arn Anderson. Jimmy Hart had to run back and get him. He comes out in street clothes, wearing Timberlands. I don't think they were Timberlands, but, he's out there in street clothes.
He's wearing a dress shirt with his little khaki shorts tucked in.
They played it up on commentary. Well, the Nature Boy, anytime he has a match, Arn Anderson's probably close by. And then you got the Nature Boy coming out a little bit later. If it was planned, it seemed very...
It was definitely planned. Let's take a step back. So Anderson, he tries to talk to Jimmy Hart. He gets strapped by Sullivan. So then Anderson takes his dress shirt off, and he looks like a member of the Village People at this point. But they have their match, and he beats Sullivan mercilessly. And like you said, Flair comes out, but then they have that thing where, oh, Hogan, you tried, but it didn't work. And they hug, and they have that little rehearsed thing. If this was a filler segment, they wouldn't have had the little rehearsed hug segment where the Dungeon of Doom and the Horsemen joined forces against Hulkamania.
Well, I'm saying maybe they could have come up with that.
They came up with two factions joining on the off chance that Pillman just decided to break kayfabe and leave. You're giving them a whole hell of a lot of credit here, dude.
You don't think?
I don't. No, I don't.
You don't think that maybe Ric Flair, who's been wrestling now for like 20, 15 years, Kevin Sullivan, who apparently is the booker, so says Brian Pillman, so, he's deep in the game. Arn Anderson, he's deep in the game. It's like, this is not their first year of doing this wrestling thing. So you don't think that they could have possibly come up with something, being the professionals they are, go out there and ad-lib something. Now, if Arn Anderson comes out and he's like, dressed, ready to go, now I can see, okay, maybe, well, obviously that's planned, but he comes out there in dress clothes.
It was supposed to look like it was spontaneous. Like Arn wasn't supposed to be out there. To answer your question, yes, Flair and Sullivan, this isn't their first rodeo. They've been around long enough that they know how to improvise when shit goes wrong. I highly doubt, them being the professionals that they are, they would improvise something on the spur of the moment that would not only affect two factions, but also like a major storyline. I just don't see that happening. I see Arn Anderson coming out, having a filler match. Maybe Flair comes out to interfere so both of them look strong so they don't have to say, I respect you. But the bit after where they join forces and Flair has that speech about Hulkamania trying to drive a wedge between them and all that stuff, no.
Okay. Well, what did Flair say? Because I think that was some entertaining stuff.
He said, Hogan, your ploy didn't work. Trying to drive a wedge between the Dungeon of Doom and the Horsemen. Sullivan and Anderson, they shake hands and they don't hug, but they have an understanding.
And Flair's doing the strut thing, hitting the turnbuckle, hitting the ropes, hitting the turnbuckle, doing the strut thing.
Oh, he also says that he's taken Miss Elizabeth and Macho Man's belt.
And then he yells at a fan. He's like, he said to a fan,
He threatens to take his wife home and make a woman out of her.
Yeah, which was a weird thing to say. Take his wife home and make a woman out of her.
Yep.
I know what he was saying, but
Yeah, that
if
means
it's his wife, she's already a woman.
apparently not. And yeah, the Sullivan and Anderson, they shake hands, and Flair yells at another, "Shut up!"
And then the fans start yelling Hogan, and Flair's like, "Where's Hogan?" And he like runs out the ring, and it's like, "I'm ready to fight him." It's just classic Flair.
Yeah, he's over the top. He's too much. After that, Mean Gene talks to the Giant. This is great. The Giant is just standing off to the side with his head down and his hair over his face. Mean Gene mentions the steel cage match with Giant and Hogan. Jimmy Hart says Hulkamania is finished. They move it to the Giant, and Giant, he flips back his hair dramatically, and he says, "It's a day of reckoning. I've been in the Dungeon of Doom. I've looked in the souls of men, the darkest, deepest region of the soul, where maggots crawl." Giant says he's going to erupt all over Hogan, and Hulkamania is through forever. And I thought he was going to like have an aneurysm or something. And the Hulkamania are going to be through forever. Just his delivery.
Yeah.
Love me some Giant. So after that, the Road Warriors and Sting and Luger have their match. Both teams just beat the shit out of each other until they would count it out, fight to the back. And I'm, for one, getting a little tired of the whole this person or this team wrestles and then later they wrestle again. It seems like every pay-per-view so far, somebody's wrestled twice. Or in Macho Man's case, he wrestled 5 times. I don't think that was that WCW?
No, it was WrestleMania. He wrestled the tournament.
Still.
But yeah, WCW does enjoy their double up.
But what did you think of the Road Warriors and Sting / Luger?
I thought it was a good match. They did the thing at the beginning a little too long, I felt. Like the whole Luger not getting in the ring, and he's like, I guess he's adamant that they need to take the spikes off their shoulder pads, so he wouldn't get in the ring, and then he would get towards the ring and then walk away. Did that a little too long, especially after the whole Brian fiasco, which was planned.
I think Luger's a good heel though, because that's, I don't know, that's something that would make you want to smack the shit out of somebody.
That's true.
That would make me want to fight them. And then when you go to fight him, he would like run outside the ring or something. "Oh, I'm not ready. What are you doing? What are you rushing me for?" That type of stuff.
Yeah, and then he was going back and forth with fans too.
Yeah.
They're telling him to get in the ring, and he's like, "I'm not getting in the ring."
Yeah, this was an interesting time. They were teasing a Luger heel turn, but of course Sting, they can't have him be a heel. So it was a weird dynamic where Sting was still the pure babyface, but Luger, he was pretty much a heel in disguise. And there was one Nitro where they came out and high-fiving fans, but every time Sting would turn his back on Luger, Luger would just scowl and start stomping and not paying any attention to the fans. And then Sting would look at Luger, and then he'd start smiling and high-fiving again. They do little stuff like that that's really and creative. Unfortunately, the execution or the payoff doesn't always come through.
Right, yeah. But yeah, it was a good match overall.
Yeah. All right, so Mean Gene talks to Ric Flair. Flair blames Hogan, again, for trying to get Anderson and Sullivan to turn on each other. Flair says, "Here comes Savage." And he's saying, "This ain't right. I'm facing Flair. I'm going to bleed. I'm going to sweat. And Flair might take Elizabeth home." And Flair says, "You can bet on it." And Gene wants to know about Space Mountain. And Flair says he can fuck either woman or Miss Elizabeth tonight.
Yeah, I thought that was a little odd. Which one you gonna lay down tonight, Ric Flair?
Yeah, I can have my pick. Now, a normal person would say, both of them, but whatever. So Mean Gene talks to Miss Elizabeth and Macho Man next. Macho says it's going to be a complete mental insanity, and he's bringing it to another level, infinity and beyond. Macho Man also says the Mega Powers, we are cool.
And my question, he said to infinity and beyond. He for sure said that.
Yeah, Toy Story came out. When he started saying this, that's about the time Toy Story came out.
Okay.
I looked it up.
Okay.
We get to Ric Flair and Macho Man in a steel cage. Before the match, Ric Flair asks Elizabeth for a kiss, and Macho Man says, "Oh no!" And Woman was definitely at ringside throughout the match.
Boy, was she.
At one point, Tony Schiavone envisioned having an orgy with Miss Elizabeth, Woman, Diamond Doll, and Medusa. That was special. Macho Man goes for a pin early, but the ref has to take 20 minutes locking the door, so nothing happened there. Then Flair inexplicably decks and stomps the referee. They say he's not getting DQ'd because it's a no DQ match, so I guess that makes sense. And then the ref gets up, and Tony's the only one that seems to remember that Flair punched the referee 20 seconds ago. Because he gets up and nothing happens. Doesn't even yell at Flair. Doesn't even say, "What'd you do that for?" Doesn't even outstretch his arms. Like, what? What'd I do?
And Heenan mentioned that was one of the toughest referees in history.
Right.
Because he was knocked out for 20 minutes.
Right. No. We'll see some rough bumps where they're in comas over nothing. So Savage gets Flair in a figure four, and Woman goes especially nuts over that. That's when she turns it up to 11. Macho Man dives from the top of the cage, only for Flair to hit him in the gut as he's coming down. And Savage pants his Flair, and then he crotches him on the ropes. And I could have gone without seeing Flair's ass as much as we did tonight.
Yeah, they kept doing that spot. Like,
all right, I get it.
I was thinking, can Macho Man just like grab him another way? Like, grab his boot.
Grab his ankle or something.
Yeah. Like, you don't have to grab the back of his trunks every time.
Seriously.
And he's just like straight. I don't know how he didn't show his penis on the first one.
Well, what if it slips in your hand or one of your fingers like slides into it, a crack?
Yeah.
Then you basically just had sex with a man. That's it. Once your finger slides and it penetrates the crack, that's it.
Yeah, he was really holding on there.
Flair punches Savage in the dick and then starts choking him. And then Woman tries to throw powder in Savage's face, but he ducks out of the way. But then Elizabeth hands her shoe to Flair before Macho Man rolls him up. Flair kicks out of the roll-up and then socks Savage with the shoe in the eye. And then he gets the pin. Hogan comes out with an eye patch that Savage will be wearing later, I'm sure, and a chair. He yells at Miss Elizabeth and then nails Arn Anderson with the chair, and then Flair runs away. And then they have to carry Savage to the back because his eye is all fucked up.
Yes. Yeah, Flair now has become the 19-time champion. Or no.
14.
14-time champion. So they're getting that number up there. There was a part in the match that was the craziest thing. So Flair gets Savage in a figure four.
Yeah.
I guess Savage gets to the bottom of the cage, which I guess is now supposed to be a rope break, even though when Flair just said it wasn't a rope break. And the ref is trying to get Flair out of the figure four, and he like literally grabs his hair and he's trying to drag him off by his hair. Like he grabs a handful of hair and he's trying to drag him off by his hair. Like, look at this ref. He's so physical.
Well, in his defense, he did get hit in the face.
He did. And then, he
did a fast count. He did. There was no indication that he got hit in the face and stomped on for no reason.
Yeah.
He just stood there. Well, Mean Gene talks to a pissed off Hulk Hogan. Hogan's beside himself. He doesn't know if it's because Elizabeth is legally separated from Savage, but he does know that she's a turncoat. As far as Hogan's concerned, Elizabeth drove the spike into Savage's eye. Now it's a heel. It's a heel, not a spike. I don't know why they keep calling it a spike. Mean Gene says Hogan has a dangerous match against the Giant. And Hogan says his no DQ steel cage match is unsanctioned. The referee will be outside. And the only way to win is to escape the cage, which didn't make any sense to me.
Just the stipulation.
But it's a no disqualification match already. It's in the steel cage match. So how does making it unsanctioned any different?
Oh,
it just seemed like he made it WWE rules.
Yeah, just throwing everything out there.
Yeah. So Hogan thought he would have Savage and Elizabeth in his corner tonight, but instead he has to rely on the Hulkamaniacs, the big man upstairs. And that finally brings us to the Giant versus Hulk Hogan in a steel cage. Michael Buffer. I keep calling him Bruce Buffer. It's Michael Buffer. he introduces the Giant as the man who literally came back from the dead last Halloween.
Yep. Glad you pointed that out, because I was going to.
As the man who literally came back from the dead last Halloween Havoc.
I actually thought his introduction was a lot better than Hogan's too.
Oh yeah.
Like he literally came back from the dead, and Hogan just got, the leader of the Hulkamaniacs.
Yeah. The leader of the Hulkamaniacs. Yeah, Hogan comes out with one eye. He enters the cage by climbing it. Then he goes after the Giant. He does the punches on the top rope. I think he got to about 21 or so. Then he bites the Giant in the face twice and stomps on his throat. The Giant bear hugs Hogan, and I start looking out for the Yeti to come up butt fucking.
Like, uh-oh, we're doing it again.
But he didn't come. Instead, Hogan hulked up out of the bear hug, and the Giant hits Hogan with a choke slam, though, cutting him off. And it looks like it's over. But then Hogan just gets up, unaffected. And Hogan beats up the Giant, does his little slam, and 3 leg drops. 3 leg drops.
After hulking up.
After hulking out. Not 1, not 2, 3 leg drops. These are the
In
leg
a row.
drops. Yes, in a row, successive leg drops. Did he beat Andre the Giant with? Did he beat, I'm sure he'll beat Macho Man Randy Savage with. Think of all the people that he's beaten with 1 leg drop. He did 3 leg drops in succession. So then he goes to climb up the cage. Then the Giant gets up as if nothing happened to go fight with Hogan at the top of the ropes. Then they have this little chop battle. Giant falls. Hogan climbs out.
And Hogan has won the match.
Hogan has won the match. As soon as Hogan gets out of the cage, Sullivan cracks Hogan in the back of the head with a chair. But that doesn't faze Hogan. Probably because everybody is on cocaine at this point. That's my only theory to how these people are are doing all this shit to themselves and then just getting up. Didn't hurt me, bro. Do it again.
I know. The Giant sitting up like the Undertaker.
So then Hogan brings the chair into the cage. He has a standoff with Giant and Sullivan. Then the entire Dungeon of Doom come out and start getting in the cage. Then Hulk Hogan fights off the entire Dungeon of Doom. I don't know how many people were there, but there was a lot.
There had to have been between 8 and 10 people.
Yeah. There's John
Ming,
Tenta. There's Ming. There's a Giant. John Tenta. I'm sure there was others.
Zodiac,
Well,
Bruce Burger Beefcake.
He doesn't count. But yeah,
He's just holding his eyes out.
Hogan starts off with hitting all of them with the chair, and then he just engages in fisticuffs. And he fights them one-on-one while the other guys are just standing around all dazed and confused. Instead of all attacking him at once, they say, "Yo, that's too much for us. We gotta leave." So then they leave. And then this fat fucking overalls comes out. Looking like Jimbo the auto mechanic, and they call him Loch Ness Monster. He comes waddling out, and he tries to get in the cage, but then they're like, no. So then why the fuck did he come out? Why did they let him come out if they don't want him to get into the ring?
Jimmy Hart was trying to stop him. It's like, this is in this fat slob.
Fucking auto mechanic from Nebraska.
Yeah, and I was like, that seems like I would remember this. This Loch Ness Monster.
I think he's British, if I'm not mistaken.
I was just saying, it seems like someone you would remember. But I didn't remember this guy at all.
Yeah, this was just a transitional feud. The time before the NWO was kind of a dark period for WCW. That's why Hogan had to go heel, because the Hulkamania shit wasn't working.
I'm pretty sure Hogan was getting booed. In this match, towards the end, I think he was getting booed. I think maybe around the time that he took out the whole Dungeon of Doom by himself, he started getting booed.
Oh, okay, I didn't notice that. I was too busy.
Like, are they booing him?
I was too busy looking at one man take out an entire gang of people.
Yes, that's why he was getting booed. He took out I was laughing so hard doing this whole thing. Like, oh my god, he's taking out all of them and he's throwing them into the cage and he's doing punches. And meanwhile, no one else is like trying to get him.
Right. And as soon as it started happening, I'm like, oh, here goes Hogan. He just needs that sympathy. No. He needs to go the other way. He needs to single-handedly beat up an entire faction.
And I was like, oh, they're gonna beat him down, and then like, who can help him because Macho Man's hurt. No, he got it.
So I don't know if that sets up. I don't know if he faces Flair.
I know they mentioned he was gonna face the Loch Ness Monster.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he faces. Oh, yeah.
I don't think they're gonna do that at a pay-per-view though.
I think they do.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, what the fuck did they do?
Oh, that's gonna be bad.
I'm trying to find what the next pay-per-view is.
Oh, it's uncensored.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I just remember that because they advertised it, and I was like,
That's
oh,
right.
this
Yeah,
one looks
thank you.
like it's gonna be fun.
Oh, Giant is facing Loch Ness.
Okay, so this Loch Ness thing is gonna be in the match. That's cool. It's gonna have to happen.
Oh boy. Well, at least we'll have a palate cleanser with was it WrestleMania 6?
We got
WrestleMania
5.
5.
Yes.
Okay. So have that to look forward to before we dive into fucking uncensored. WrestleMania 5 is the collapse of the mega powers here too.
Which is funny. We're now bookended by mega powers here.
Yep.
We got mega powers in WWF and now in WCW.
That's what's so weird. It seems like we're watching two different eras, but it's the same shit.
Yeah. Like, well, they did hold down a generation.
Yeah, it did. But yeah, that was Superbrawl 6.
Well, on that note, if you disagree with anything, let us know in the comments. If you agree with anything, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Follow us on all the social medias. You can find them in the description right next to the like button. And until next time, Top Guys, out.